welcome to another episode of the New Music Industry Podcast, the show that covers how to adapt, grow, and thrive in the information age as a musician, navigating the many challenges that are coming your way. Today I want to do something a little bit different, and I hope you understand my heart in this. I'm not trying to be super self-promotional, but I felt for a variety of reasons this is an important episode for me to do. And some of you aren't going to listen, and that's totally okay. The podcast is like a buffet. You take the episodes that you want to listen to, and you exclude the ones that you don't want to. I already know many people that do this very thing. They say, I love your solo episodes. I don't really care for interviews. And I'm guessing there's probably people who are on the opposite end of the spectrum. So don't worry. I'm still going to do all of it. Still going to do interviews. Still going to do solo episodes. And of course, there'll be some other types of episodes coming up as well, because that was one of the promises of the podcast that I mentioned in episode 0 way back when we first got started on this journey. Hard to believe how far we've come, and it's only because of you that we've made it this far. We would not make it this far today if there wasn't already people like you listening and supporting the show. So thank you, but there's more we can do. There's more we can do. I'm not unhappy with my following or my listener base or how many people are subscribed to the email lists or how many people are coming to the website every single day. But to be able to do more, and I do want to do more for you and people just like you, I do need your help. You know how Batman had Robin? I mean, some of the recent movies don't portray Batman with a sidekick. But in the early days, Batman always had a Robin. And I feel like there's a good reason for that. Many of us need that sidekick. I haven't really had one in the last few years. I did have one a few years ago, and that was great. For a variety of reasons, it didn't work anymore. So things happen. That's life. I've had a lot of bands that didn't really work out because they were my Robin, or I was a Robin to them. But we just didn't get along, or we just didn't see eye to eye. And that's life. That's how things go. Partnerships don't always work, and they aren't always the perfect arrangement. That's okay. But I am talking to champions. I know I'm talking to champions. I'm a doer, and so therefore my listeners are also going to be doers. You are deeply, deeply engaged in your work because you care about it. Not just the work, you care about the audience. You care about the people who are going to be impacted by the work you do. And there's people missing your work. I don't care if you haven't made any music in the last 10 years because you went broke and you lost your dog and you broke up with your wife. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. You can start today again and put out a new release, and I would urge you to. Especially if it's already written, especially if you've already made demos, especially if it's 50% done. Please finish it. The world wants it, and it's missing it. We need it. So I know I'm talking to champions, but our performance together, maybe individually, is very good, but our performance together does not reflect the spirit of championship. I know I'm talking to champions, and that's why I know I have the best Robin in the world. It's you. You. Yes, you, the listener, person listening to this podcast right now. You, the one sitting in the car, the one going for the jog, the one working out. I already know there's quite a few people listening to this show. It's not tons, but they're out there. I know you're out there. I know you're listening to this right now. I'm talking to you. You are a champion. Our performance together does not reflect us yet, but we can do something about that. Part of what I'm thinking, too, in the future of Music Entrepreneur HQ, and if you don't understand that, the New Music Industry Podcast, which is what you're listening to, is a sub-brand of Music Entrepreneur HQ. And I've recently realized the importance of that sub-brand because it's a book. It started as a book and extended into a podcast, both of which have been reviewed incredibly well by a small number of people, but incredibly well across the spectrum Okay. So I've realized the importance of this brand, and I'm going to be building on it. There's going to be other initiatives. Please understand, at Music Entrepreneur HQ, we already have a blog. We have this podcast. We have a newsletter. We have other email lists. And we even have a YouTube channel and multiple books. I'll be talking more about that later, the books side of things, because there's 5 of them now. But there are so many more great initiatives to come to help you, not just help me. We got to win together, right? We want to make this win-win. And I believe this podcast has been win-win. Again, this is not the David Andrew Weep Show. If it was just for me, you would not be hearing from me today. You just wouldn't. It's not for just me. There's a lot to come. And so today I want to talk about how to support the podcast. And here are some very simple, very concrete ways you can do it. And without you doing it, it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't. Like so many people have said, why aren't you on TV? Why aren't you on the radio? I feel like you should be bigger than you are right now. Please understand, without your contribution, that is impossible. Just like you have support group in your life, right? Like I hope you do. I hope you have like a best friend that you can share really everything of your inner world with. I hope you have a supportive family life that can be hard to come by, especially when you've chosen an unconventional path like becoming a musician, or for that matter, a music entrepreneur. I mean, good luck with that. But you have support in your life. You know, whether it's your fans, your family, your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers, your coaches, your mentors, you have support in your life. I know it can be a lonely world, and I know that many of us don't have quite the connection that we would love to have, but that doesn't mean that there aren't people there in your life. I believe there are. There's people in my life. It's not a ton. I could probably count them on one hand, but those people are certainly there in my life. So just like you have that support, without you supporting me, we're not going to get any bigger. No, this is it. I'm serious. This is as big as we're ever going to get, because there's only so much time in a day. There's only so much I can do to share and spread the message. I already do a lot. I share on social media all the time. I write blog posts all the time. I create new content all the time. I'm posting to YouTube. I'm posting new podcast episodes, a variety of different types of contents. I'm writing books. But this is as big as we get if we don't have supporters, just like you in your music career. You're not going to get any bigger without help from others, right? Does that make sense? So here are some really, really simple things that you can do to support the podcast, and you don't have to support monetarily. I'm just going to put that out there right up front. I am going to talk about a few monetary ways that you can support the podcast too, but that's not necessary. I'm not asking you to send me a ton of money, okay? But it's one way, and it's actually a way that helps a lot, okay? I understand people are going through a lot of different things right now, and circumstances just are what they are. I've got a major case of quarantine here and haven't really gotten outside a whole lot. And this is just how things are right now. But it's just one more challenge that we can navigate, because we are champions, right? Okay. So first thing you can do is follow us on social media. Why does that make a difference? See, the thing is, I try to get podcast bookings, or maybe bookings on radio shows and things like that. They're looking for a social media following. Don't ask me why. I think if you're a long-time listener of this show, you already know that having a big social media following has its limitations. It's good. I mean, it can be helpful. But really, the fact of the matter is that the things that count more for most people, most businesses, most musicians for that matter, is number one, sales. If you're not making any sales, or like if your music's not getting streamed, then good luck. Like, what does it matter? It doesn't matter if you have 100,000. It doesn't matter if you have 1 million followers on social media if you're not getting streamed, if you're not getting sales. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. Other podcasters and radio people and anybody else that might be interested in interviewing me or having me on their show is not going to do it unless I have a bigger social media following. So if you aren't already subscribed or following, please do. The main ones that we're trying to grow right now are Facebook Instagram, Medium, Twitter, YouTube. You can find this at the show notes for the podcast episode for number 190, or you can also go just directly to our contact page. That might be easiest, musicentrepreneurhq.com/contact, and go and follow each of those platforms. If you're not on Medium, that's fine. I know a lot of musicians aren't necessarily looking at that one, but all the others I'm guessing you're using. I'm pretty sure you're using Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Okay? So for me to get out there, quote unquote, for me to be bigger, quote unquote, I'm going to need your help. And this is huge. Like, you don't understand how much this means to me, okay? And it's simple. It takes all of 30 seconds, maybe a minute to do this. So please go and follow us on social media. In most cases, for each of those platforms, you will find accounts for David Andrew Wiebe, and you will find accounts for Music Entrepreneur HQ. Follow both, okay? Thanks. Next, share your favorite episodes with your friends. Again, super simple. If there's something you liked that you heard in a specific episode, and you know somebody to whom it may apply, or they might find it helpful, please share that episode with your friends. Without people doing this, the podcast remains somewhat stagnant. It has grown gradually over time, and I'm always happy and always glad to see growth. And it's not our only initiative at Music Entrepreneur HQ, as I already shared. I put a lot of time and effort into promoting it, but there's really only so much that can be done. So I'm counting on you and your support to help us spread these episodes if you find them useful. Like I said, it's not the David Andrew Wiebe show. I've shared about myself plenty, but I think the majority of time, if you look back, you'll see I've created content for you to help you in your music business and music career. So please share your favorite episodes with your friends. Let's get this podcast into the hands of the people who need it, because there are so many more. The next thing you can do, it's not hard, it's just unusual, because a lot of people don't utilize the iTunes ecosystem this way, but that's to leave a review on iTunes. Why does that help? Don't ask me, guys. I don't make the rules when it comes to stuff like this. The reason it helps is because when people review your podcast on iTunes, it just spreads to more people. It gets a better ranking. I don't know why. It's just how it is. Okay? So I know if you don't have an iTunes account, you might have to create one. If you don't know how to navigate or use iTunes, you're going to have to sort that out. But it has a search engine built in, so you just use that to look for the new music industry podcast. If that doesn't get you there, look for musicentrepreneurhq.com. If that doesn't get you there, look for David Andrew Wiebe, and you should be able to find it without too much difficulty. And then you just look for the place where it says leave a rating and review, and you leave a rating and a review. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes. And I'm happy to mention you on the podcast if you do leave a review. So leave a review on iTunes. And if you're listening to it elsewhere and they allow you to leave a rating and review, please leave it there. I can't promise that I'm going to see all of these reviews coming through immediately, because I also have to go and check in at these individual platforms to see if you've left a review. There's, best to my knowledge, no central dashboard that I can go to check who's left what review. If that is available and you know about it, just let me know. But otherwise, that's how it's going to be. And I promise I'll try to get around to all of it. Next thing, again, simple, doesn't take much time, doesn't cost you any money. Comment on the show notes. Go to musicentrepreneurhq.com, click on the podcast button in the header. You'll be able to see a listing of the podcasts, and click on the applicable one. Like if this was this episode, then it'd be episode 190, and leave a comment. There's a way to leave a comment. Scroll down way to the bottom, just before the footer, and there's a little comment box. You will probably be prompted to log in with one of your social media accounts, such as Twitter or Facebook. Follow through on that. Write a quick little comment. Let me know what your honest thoughts are on the podcast, and share additional thoughts. Or it's like, hey, you missed this, or what about this? Would this work? Or I'm thinking this. Just leave those comments. People are going to find it helpful, and they're going to see that there's engagement, and then they're going to feel like it's a safe place for them to do the same. And it is a safe place. Okay? I want you to know that. MusicEntrepreneurHQ.com is a friendly place. Will you be sold to? Sometimes, but not that much. As of today, there are 837 posts on the website, and there's only about 7 or 8 products. So I think 837 to 8 ratio shows that we're dedicated and committed to creating something that's valuable for you before you jump into the paid products, which we also feel are incredibly valuable and perhaps more valuable than our free content. But that doesn't mean there isn't a lot of great free content on the site. So I think your odds are pretty good. Okay, so MusicEntrepreneurHQ.com is a safe place. You can go and leave comments. Typically, I do answer and do read all the comments because I'm always curious to know what's going on in your world, what's on your mind, what struggles you're having. Those are all important for me to know. And for me to go to the next level, this is incredible information for me to understand well. The next thing you can do is you can interview me for your blog, podcast, or YouTube channel. That was weird enunciation. I'm sorry. You can interview me for your blog, podcast, or YouTube channel. I have 10 plus years of experience as a podcaster at this point. I think you can tell that I'm a good communicator. I'm not going to sit here and brag or try to prop myself up, but I think I do an okay job. And if you want me to help you put together a piece of content for your blog, for your podcast or YouTube channel, I'm happy to do it. I really am. Most people aren't going to make that kind of offer because they either don't have the time or it's just not worth their time because they're going after larger PR. I'm okay with building a grassroots level awareness and presence before I move on to something bigger. Okay? So I'm happy to contribute. Just interview me. And you can use it as content forever. And I will even help you promote the content. I will share it out and I will even link to it. So that's another great thing that you can do to help support the podcast. Finally, I will cover a few things that you can do monetarily to support the podcast. Again, don't feel obligated if you can't, if you don't have the means. But if you have something extra and you're in a giving mood, please consider. First thing is you can donate on PayPal. We have a paypal.me quick link that you can use. It's paypal.me/musicentrepreneur. That's paypal.me/musicentrepreneur, where you can give any amount. It's up to you. Obviously, with PayPal fees and so forth, giving $1 or $2 isn't going to amount to much on our end. Still, we appreciate the thought and we appreciate the gesture. So you are welcome to do that very thing. The next thing, you can become a Patreon contributor. I just set up the Patreon page today. And it's bare bones. There's nothing special there yet. But you can find it at patreon.com/new music industry. That's the new music industry without the. So patreon.com/new music industry. That's where our brand new Patreon page lives. And I've had the comment before that maybe some people wouldn't be interested in a book, but they'd be more than happy to support the ongoing creation of great music business and music career content. Well, that's what we're doing here. So you can put your money where your mouth is and cast your vote at patreon.com/new music industry. As far as what I can provide in terms of extra content or bonus content or incentives, I mean, one of the things I had in mind was maybe to do like a behind the scenes look at how I podcast, the gear I use, and the thought process that goes into each episode. But I am all ears. You can let me know if there's something specific. If you plan to become a Patreon contributor and do become one, then I'm going to listen to you. So you can tell me. You are more than welcome to tell me what you'd like to see me create and what would incentivize you to be a part of that program. Finally, you can buy my books. I have 5 books now. I'm not sure if you are aware of that fact. Even though I talk about my new books pretty frequently on the podcast, it seems the awareness is mostly drawn to the new music industry, which is nothing wrong with that. I'm actually very proud of that book. It is my earliest book, and in that sense, I was still learning a lot. Mind you, I still get comments, not every single day, but frequently, from people saying that this book impacted them and helped them and made a difference for them. And I'm proud of that. And I'm so pleased that it's making a difference for people. And if that's what you're interested in, sweet. Cool. I don't mind you buying a copy of the new music industry at all. I don't mind you buying 10 copies. You can buy any number that's right for you. But please understand that I have released additional books that are also quite good, I would say. Again, I'm understanding the importance of the new music industry brand. So to that extent, I will be creating more things around that. And I will also be unifying the brand around my other books, because right now they're a tad scattered. And again, it's a process of just honing in on what's going to work and what's best for each of these products. But it's a learning process, right? And I'm starting to figure it out. And I've had a lot of help from my mastermind group as well. So the next book is The Essential Guide to Music Entrepreneurship. Again, I've had nothing but positive comments on this. It is a short guide, but if you're confused, if you don't know, if you're a beginner to music entrepreneurship, then this book is for you. The next one is The Essential Guide to Creative Entrepreneurship. So it's similar to the Music Entrepreneurship book, but where Music Entrepreneurship book covered the mindset behind entrepreneurship, The Essential Guide to Creative Entrepreneurship really gets into strategy and some of the tactical things that you can do to create your brand and home in on the audience that wants what you personally create. The next one is Start Your Year the Right Way. Of course, a motivational book or inspirational book, because I can't really give you motivation, but I can inspire you to get on a path and stay on a path of personal growth and a journey that's worth following. And that's what this book's going to do for you. And of course, my latest work, The Music Entrepreneur Code. As I record this, that book is not out yet, but you can pre-order the Kindle at musicentrepreneurhq.com/buy code. That's BUYCODE. Now, each of these books, if you go to Amazon right now, they are on sale. The Kindles are $3.99 US, and the paperbacks are $12.99 US. There really has never been a better deal, and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to start learning the things and start filling the gaps in your knowledge so that you can leapfrog in your career. Not just make incremental progress, not just get to the next step or the next rung of the ladder, but leapfrog in your career. Would that make a difference for you? I think it would. So you can go to Amazon and find my books. Thank you so much for listening today. And if you have any comments, questions, or thoughts you'd like to share, please tweet me. This is really the fastest, quickest, and most convenient way for you to get personally in touch with me. On Twitter, I'm at David A. Wiebe, DAVIDAWIEBE. Please tweet me. This is David Andrew Wiebe, and I look forward to seeing you on the stages of the world.
Thank you for listening. Music in this episode was brought to you by Brian Young. Wherever you're listening to this right now, please consider leaving a 5-star review and comment to help us get the word out about the podcast.